circled that, and let's expand that a little bit so we can actually see it. A couple symbols we already know. We've got if-then. We've got our squiggle or our tilde or our negation symbol, whatever you want to call that. And then we got two new letters that we're going to talk about. On your first test or your first quiz, you're going to see some problems like we worked on last time. Inverse, converse, contrapositive, whatever's on the sideboard over there. And you'll have some translation problems. You'll see the symbols and you'll be given the phrases that go along with the variables. Just write out what you're seeing. What did we say that an arrow represented? Which is called a what? Conditional. Try to get in the habit of saying the phrase conditional or the word conditional. If the Bruins win the game, then they will go to the playoffs. What's happening here with the negation symbols? What should I start thinking about either putting into the phrase or taking out of the phrase?
Inverse.
Inverse, which means what word am I probably thinking about?
Don't.
Don't, not, some sort of verb tense dealing with that. If the Bruins do not win the game, then they will not go to the playoffs. Notice I didn't just write down the word lose, because that doesn't incorporate what possibility. Is there a possibility there could be a tie? Maybe the game isn't even completed. So by putting the word not in there, we're kind of incorporating all the different possibilities besides winning the game. Go ahead, translate these next two sentences using those symbols of P and Q. If the Bruins go to the playoffs, then they won the game. If the Bruins do not go to the playoffs, then they lost the game. Actually, this is, I don't like the wording on this. I guess we're assuming that in this sporting event there's only two possibilities, winning and losing. So we'll make that a negation. Are these still if-then statements? Do we still have these words? So what symbol will I start with? Bruins go to the playoffs. What letter mentions playoffs? P or Q? Q. Which one mentions winning the game? P. Notice we can move around the subject. Bruins ended up here with the word playoffs. The word they ended up here with the game. We can move around pronouns and subject matter, but what we want to make sure gets moved and actually goes with the variable is the verb or the main idea. Main idea here is winning the game. Main idea, go to the playoffs. So you got a little bit of leeway with how you write these things and how you set up your verb tenses. Do not go, doesn't go. Any sort of verb tense that makes sense is okay. So far, we have used our little tilde symbol or negation symbol next to each of the variables. Now we've got a case where we've got parentheses. Don't think distribution. Down here, Circle cannot distribute. When you see a negation symbol in front of parentheses, it's saying that the entire statement is being negated, not necessarily the individual pieces. So it's not like you can multiply through this like a distributive property in algebra. The way we would write this is with the phrase, it is not true that. It is not true that. And then you just write out whatever you see inside of that parentheses. So P implies Q is just an if-then statement. And we just go back to our beginning variables, which are Bruins win the game, they will go to the playoffs. If Bruins win the game, then they will go to the playoffs. And I just explained the difference between this and this. For the first one, each part is negated. For this one, the entire phrase is negated, or the entire statement. Last time, if you look at the side board, we learned that conditional meant if-then. We learned that biconditional meant if and only if. And now, if you see this kind of symbol showing up with a negation symbol in front of parentheses, we use that phrase. It is not true that. Page 2. Anybody do any programming? Is anybody in any IT programming classes? Do you use and or?
Yeah.
In your if-then statements, in your loops, or whatever you're programming with? That's what we're talking about here. Before there was any computers, before there were any programs, we had logic statements, which were really historical programs. Let's make a big symbol up above that so we can see it. Does that look like the letter A? A little bit? That's how you should remember that this goes with the word and. Technical name. Conjunction. In English class, what is a conjunction? What are some examples of conjunctions? And anything else? But so there's a few in English class that could be considered conjunctions. Here, only one is considered a conjunction. The and phrase goes with that. I'd also like you to think to yourself the word both, intersection. Later on, these other phrases will come up, and when you see them, that might be a key word that we're going to end up using and. When we were talking about our Venn diagrams, we were looking at overlaps. They're all sort of connected with the word and. Let's translate. P stands for Charles likes sour candy. Q stands for Tracy likes chocolate. If you see that symbol, just group them together. Charles likes SC, sour candy. If I do an abbreviation, you're allowed to do an abbreviation. I don't want to write down if then. I don't see any arrows. I see this symbol. I write down and. Right now, we are just translating today. When we get to truth tables, we will actually be using and or in very specific ways to take a look at outcomes or results in our truth tables. What's going on in the second one? I see a squiggle. What does that indicate to me? I see a negation symbol. So what should I do to the phrase that goes along with the variable P? Negate it. Charles does not like sour candy. Do I still have an and symbol? Then Q, was Q negated? No, in this case, that phrase stays the same. Tracy likes chocolate. How many of you take a language course like Spanish or French? Are you required to take 1 or 2 years? That's all this is. We're just learning a new language and we're translating from words into symbols. What do I do when I see a negation symbol in front of a grouping of a statement? Kyle? All right. What phrase did we use on the previous page when that came up?
It is not true that.
It is not true that, and then you just write exactly what's inside the parentheses, and that is exactly what's in our first line right above, 2 lines above. So I'm just repeating what it says there. Charles likes sour candy, and Tracy likes chocolate. Go ahead, translate the next 3 down here. For some reason, once people learn about if-then statements, they keep wanting to put down arrows. Do we have any if-then statements here? No, no arrows. Look for keywords. You need to circle things. In this case, P stood for Charles likes sour candy. Q stood for Tracy likes chocolate. Let me see what you guys have. Take a look at these answers. Does that match up with what's on your paper? Did I actually write the correct thing? Tracy dislikes chocolate. Tracy goes along with Q. Since it's disliking it, we've got our symbol. Disliking sour candy, so now we have a tilde here. It is not true that means that we put that on the outside. Tracy likes chocolate and Charles dislikes sour candy. So we basically took this whole phrase and put it inside of here. Another new symbol. You know the symbol that looks like an A goes with and. So the other symbol is the one that goes with or. What word do you think of when you see the word or? What word do you sometimes use when you use the word or in a sentence? Either. Let's put that down over here. This will make a little more sense when we get to the truth tables, but I want you to start associating that word with the word or. Go ahead. You know the drill now. Translate these three. You've got a new symbol, but it's the same setup. You've got variables that represent phrases. You've got two new phrases here. Paula will play the piano. Sherry will sing for us. Write out in words what those symbols mean. And then go right ahead and do the bottom part. Translate those sentences and statements into symbols. Katie, could you put your sentences right up here? For sentences, can you put up your sentence? We will probably have a quiz next Wednesday on exactly what we've been doing the past 2 days. Nice way to boost up a test grade that you don't like. I can't change the test grades, but if I can give you chances for easy hundreds, that's going to help out your grade. While we're waiting for those answers, if you look at the next page, go ahead and start. That's your practice. Quiet search. Thank you. Sometimes you will see uppercase, sometimes you'll see lowercase. There really is no standard. I'm not even sure what your textbook uses. Thank you. Just take that. Do we like what we see? Paula will play the piano or Sherry will sing for us. Just straightforward P or Q. Then we negated P. So she put in the word not. Nothing happened to the Q. Still an or situation. Or. This time the negation symbol is on the outside, so it is not true that Paula will play the piano or Sherry will sing for us. How about the translation to symbols? Sherry will not sing for us, which means little negation symbol. It's still or. Paula will play the piano. Looks good. Sherry will sing for us, or Paula will play the piano. That looks good. It is not true that. Means we have a negation symbol on the outside. And there's a not for playing the piano. That's why that one is on the inside. Is this pretty easy? We're learning the very bare minimum of what is called logic and reasoning within geometry. Yes?
For this statement, can we just write placeholder 1?
Yeah, in this case, yes. Who's got the top 6 done? Put up their answers. Kyle? Come on up. While he's doing that, I'm going to pass out your homework. There is no homework out of the workbook. It's all right here. Everyone take a look at the front board. QVR looks good. What do I need to change for the second one? Right, Rachel?
Oh, it needs to be an and symbol.
Right there. It's a good idea, after you're done, to go back and circle the key words. Things like, it is not true that. The word and. So I need to change that to P and Q. Got it? Negation symbol P for number 3, that looks good. Number 4, if you like to run, then you like to play soccer. Does he need the tilde, the negation symbol? Right here. So I can take that out. Number 5, if you do not like to run, then you do not like to play football. And Kyle, I'm going to add a tilde or a negation symbol next to that. How many people like number 6? What do I need to put in there? Yes.
Until then, before the Q and P.
If you do not like to play football or you do not like to play soccer, then you do not like to run. Let's see. If and then. What does if and then indicate? What kind of symbol? Arrow. Do we have an arrow? So that's good. What comes after the word then? You do not like to run. Run is P, so that is correct. If you have more than one idea in a hypothesis or a conclusion part of an if-then statement, you got to give it parentheses. We put the parentheses around both ideas. It's kind of like putting it here and here. It's still or. We still have the V in between. You do not like to play football. That's negation symbol R. And then you do not like to play soccer. So I should also have right here. Should that also be a tilde? Right there. With Q. And then our arrow. And then P. You do not like to play football. You do not like to play soccer. Then the arrow, then P. How many people have that? Did you leave out the parentheses? If you don't have the parentheses, then you might have a situation where you don't know, is it this or is it this? Putting in the parentheses makes sure that you're not doing that version. When you said your answer, Rachel, did you say you put the tilde on the outside?
No.
No? Okay. Good. When does that occur?
When
What phrase?
it's not true that.
So, like this one right here. Yes?
Is the P supposed to have a negation in front of it or no?
Yes it does. Thank you. You do not like to run. I will leave the rest to you. Does anybody have 7 through 10 finished and can put their answers up there? Let's go with Ryan. You can begin your homework. Looks like many of you have started already. Does this go pretty quick, even though there's quite a few questions? You're just translating back and forth. Be careful. Slow yourself down by circling keywords. Huh? What? Need some? if you are done with test corrections, the test corrections go on the bottom of the test. You staple it to the test, and it goes up in this pocket up here. You can hand that in anytime you're finished and you're satisfied with it, as long as it has complete sentences. But it's not due until the next test. So you can wait, work on it next week. Just got to make sure before we have our Chapter 2 test and all of this logic material that you have completed your Chapter 1 corrections. If you haven't completed your Chapter 1 corrections, you don't get to take the Chapter 2 test. Just leave the stapler over there. Today Logan's out, Sean's out. So in order to make this up, they're going to have to watch the video that we're making right now. Anytime you see red up there, that means that anything I'm doing on the board is getting recorded. And this will appear as Symbolic Logic in my little Chapter 2 videos link on School Fusion. Do we like what we see? It is not true that. That's because the negation symbol's on the outside. Soccer, football, there's no negations inside there. We have an or symbol. Look good? R and Q. You like to play football and you like to play soccer. That looks good. We have a compound hypothesis. If you like to run and you don't, a little tilde or negation symbol. It's okay if you have something slightly different. He wrote the word don't. You might write the word do not or doesn't. That's okay. Little variations are all right. This is still an if-then statement because with the arrow, you like to play soccer is the conclusion. Looks good. Another compound structure, this time the conclusion of an if-then statement. You like to run, then you like to play football or you like to play soccer. And we have an or symbol here. Looks good. Do we agree? There's a lot of little details that you have to watch out for. It's not difficult, but there's a lot of little steps. Check yourself. Go back. Make sure that you have the correct connecting word. Connecting word. Connecting word. Connecting